Would you undertake the legislation in Congress to restore jobs to Connecticut?
There's a lot of things that can be done in this economy, but what we have to be willing to do is to tighten our belts, and that's going to be really important in the coming year. What we would see if we cut back on spending is that we could, in 2 years, have a balanced budget. If we went back to $21,000 spending per household, which is what it was in the early Reagan years, by 2012, with no new tax increases, we would be debt-free. If we don't want to go back to 21,000, if we go back to 25,000, which is only 1,000 less per household spent when Obama came in, by 2019, we would be debt-free with no new tax increases. It can be done. So one thing I would do is say, let's tighten the belt, stop government spending. Another thing we need to do is to tighten the belt and not allow Congress to spend that money. 100% of the savings cuts goes to reducing the deficit. It will work. Another thing we do is get rid of redundancy in the government. There are a lot of programs. We don't have to eliminate these services. We just need to eliminate the redundancy. 342 redundant economic development programs, 130 redundant programs for the disabled, 130 programs that are redundant for youth that are disabled, and over 90 redundant programs in early childhood education. We have to stop this type of spending. So where we cut $55 billion in annual program overpayments, $60 billion in corporate welfare programs, these are savings that we can do very easily. $13 billion in earmarks, over 9,000 earmarks this past year. We can cut these out. $25 billion is spent in programs that consistently fail to achieve their mission. We don't need these types of programs. We can get rid of that in the government. The Congressional Budget Office budget plan has said that we have over $140 billion we can easily cut out. It can be done, we can do it, we just have to be determined.
The cuts that Daria just mentioned are fine. We can start cutting those things. The most important thing we have to do right now is stop the momentum that the government has of creating a culture that has us as dependent on the government. The government right now has started to put in programs that we will never be able to get rid of if we don't do them quickly. And those programs add to programs we've already got, and we are becoming a dependency society. We've got to stop that momentum, and we've got to stop it soon. Now, of course, we need to cut waste. There's tons of waste in government right now. What we need to do is foster an environment under which businesses, the private industry, wants to invest its money. Nobody's doing anything right now. You've got contractors who are not building. You've got investors who are not investing. We need to have an environment where the public sector is not growing and the private sector is. Right now, we're creating jobs, but they're all in government. So we're reaching a tipping point where government is going to overcome the private sector, and we have got to stop that before we hit that tipping point. Thank you.
International hotspots. There are numerous hotspots in the world today, including North Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq. Broadly speaking, what foreign policies would you legislate? What changes?
Well, one of the biggest problems we've got right now is that our president is providing the world an atmosphere where nobody's sure what he believes or who he's going to support. We are turning our backs on our friends and embracing our enemies. That is no way to maintain stability in this country, in this world. The Middle East, the treatment that Benjamin Netanyahu got from our president was disgraceful. What we need is to support Israel and to make sure everybody around Israel knows that we support them. Right now, there are countries that are trying to test our resolve. We're trying to break the blockade of Gaza. That would not have happened if Barack Obama had just stood up and said, Israel is our ally. Israel has always been our ally. It always will be our ally. We are going to support Israel. This whole thing with the flotilla trying to break the blockade would never happen. Same with North Korea. We're being a bit ambiguous as to what's going on, and whether we're gonna step in or whether we're not. Now North Korea's just sunk in a South Korean ship. There's a lot of things going on, in my view, because we're not standing up and being clear as to who we support and who we do not support.
All right.
First of all, I would say I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud for my government to stand up and to help other nations around the world and to bring democracy to people. But I do not believe that we should be a world policeman. That is not our job and our duty. I do think that we need to stand up for Israel and democracy in the Middle East. We need to stand up strongly against those nations who would destroy our American way of life, and that includes any of the radical jihadist nations. A North Korean government intent on undermining the U.S. by selling arms to countries that they shouldn't be selling arms to. Any nation state that's going up against us incorrectly in trade matters. No matter what the area, we need to stand up and be strong. We are the United States, the world leader, and we are a strong people. We can do this. We do not need to have a president who is going around making excuses for us. We do not need to have a Congress that's basically looking at this and saying whatever the president wants is fine, and then we have on-the-job training by the president, where he's kowtowing to foreign leaders in the Middle East. I find myself amazed at what has gone on in the last year and a half. When it comes to North Korea, counterfeit money, drugs being sold, armaments going into South America. This is wrong. We should be standing up strong and talking about this without being afraid as a nation state. There's no reason for us to be afraid. We are very strong. When it comes to Europe, we should be supporting our allies, not questioning everything that we do. There's no two ways about it. We need new people in Washington who understand the Constitution and what it means to be American.
Question 5, and Daria will go first here. Energy is the topic. Before the disaster in the Gulf, this administration was shopping the cap-and-trade policy. What changes in our energy policy would you support to both decrease our dependency on foreign oil and reduce the risk to the environment?
There's a lot of things that we can do. First of all, I would say that we need to look at nuclear power again. It's a long-term solution. It's going to take a while. The environmentalists will probably block a lot of the plants. It's a good long-term solution where you have approximately 90 to 95% capacity at the nuclear power plants. Very safe. Europe uses them. We have 4 plants going. We're seeing Westinghouse putting 4 plants into China. Japan operates on nuclear energy. It works. Clean nuclear energy. In addition, we've got all kinds of issues right now in the Gulf with deep water drilling, but shallow drilling has been very effective. I think we can continue with drilling offshore when it comes to shallow waters. In addition to that, this country is rich in natural gas. All we have to do is buy a few trucks. We can build trucks, we know how to do that, and we will have the natural gas that we need. There's drilling that can be done on land in the United States with a very small footprint. We can do this effectively. If you look at alternative forms of energy that this administration is pushing, while they may be a nice option or sound very good, the cost is extremely high. With cap and trade, we're looking at costs that this administration is pushing on us that will run between $1,500 and $3,000 per family per annum. We cannot afford this. If we do this, it's going to end up destroying our economy, and I am not willing to do that. There are a lot of options that we should look at. We can look at a multi-pronged approach, and we need to do it now.